This should seem pretty obvious already, but you really don't want God to be mad at you. Welcome to the Church of Skill, the most biblically accurate source for all things Bible related, and in today's video, I'll be talking about two important events which really shows why you don't want God to be mad at you. Specifically, we'll be looking at the events of the flood and the Tower of Babel. I'll go over what exactly the flood and the tower were and why God caused destruction in both situations. This video is part of a series where I cover the timeline of the Bible in order. I already started off with a video explaining Genesis and the creation story, so if you haven't already, check that out after this video. Now back to the video. Right after the events of the Garden of Eden, humanity had been cast out from the garden and spent the next hundreds of years spreading across the world. The first people on earth, Adam and Eve, had three sons after they were cast out of the garden. They were Cain, Abel, and Seth. To recap previous events, Cain killed his brother Abel, which was officially the first instance of murder in history. Cain was then banished by God to forever wander the earth as a nomad, but he was still able to procreate and had his own descendants. After all this, Adam had another son named Seth. Seth also had his own descendants, but the most important one who matters in today's video is Noah. As the number of people on earth grew, God placed some angels on earth to monitor the humans. Although these angels were only meant to watch over humans, they eventually began to involve themselves way more than God actually intended. They first started to teach humans different things like the art of war and actual art, and then they began lusting over women after seeing how many baddies we had down here. This kind of implies angels are either ugly or not gay, because you'd think they would be used to seeing beautiful people up there in heaven already, but I guess not, because they even married and had kids with these women, making angel-human hybrids called the Nephilim. Obviously, being part angel meant these Nephilim were far from ordinary. They're mostly described as huge, incredibly violent beings, and some other times they're called heroes, kinda like Hercules and the other Greek mythological guys. At this point, humans themselves were also committing vast amounts of evil on earth. There was violence and corruption all over the place, which basically sounds like today too if you really think about it. And after seeing this, God decided the world needed a reset. This is where Noah comes in. Apparently, Noah was one of the very few righteous people left on earth, so God informed Noah of his plan to send a flood that would destroy everything. Of course, Noah, being as righteous as he was, couldn't just die like everyone else, so God instructed him to make an ark that would protect his family and him from the flood. He also instructed Noah to get the male and female pairs of every animal, even down to the different species among them, and put all of them in the ark too. And despite being 600 years old, just Noah and his three sons were somehow able to build that huge ass ark in just 1 week. Lucky for them too, because as soon as they were done, it began raining, and the rain did not stop for 40 days straight until the earth and everything in it was completely submerged in water. Nothing could escape the rain, not even birds or the Nephilim. And so the only things left breathing on earth were all left in Noah's ark. And just in case anything was too stubborn enough to survive the rain itself, it will still have to deal with the flood. A flood which lasted over a year and a week before the water dried up. For context, the longest flood period we've ever had in the modern era is from the Mississippi River, and that's been for about 230 days or a little less than 8 months. For comparison, Noah's flood lasted over 4 months longer than this. After the earth was completely dry, Noah released all the animals and came out with his family. Ironically, God had restarted the earth like how it was when he first made it. There were animals everywhere, and there was Noah, who basically represented his ancestor, Adam, the first man. Coincidentally, Adam also had three sons just like Noah did. And God also asked Noah and his sons to multiply the earth just like he asked Adam, and then he also promised never to wipe out the earth just like he did with the flood. Now for the second part of this video, the Tower of Babel. This one happened right after the events of the flood. After Noah's sons left the ark, they began to have children, and their kids began to have kids, and so forth until there was enough people to make nations and clans all over the place. Despite the size and possible difference amongst these people, at some point, somehow, everyone on earth spoke one language, regardless of the region they all came from. Along the line somewhere, all these people somehow came together and agreed to build a tower that would be big and long enough to house a city for everyone on earth to live in. The logic was that since humanity had reached a decent level of understanding between each other, it would be wise for them to all live in one spot, rather than be separated all over the earth. They found a place called Shinar and began to build the tower there. Theoretically, if they achieved this, the tower would be so huge it would reach heaven itself, but unfortunately, they would fail in building the tower. You see, After seeing what the humans were up to, God was really unhappy. So he made it so the people will all speak various languages different from what they already knew initially. Obviously, this sudden change was incredibly chaotic to say the least. People were confused at best and terrified at worst, and so they all abandoned the project immediately. And that's why it's called the Tower of Babel. You see, Babel means confusion, and God made everyone there confused when he made people speak different languages to each other. So, it's called the Tower of Confusion or the Tower of Babel. Now, when looking at the reason for God's intervention in stopping the creation of the tower, most people say he did it because it basically made sure humanity congregated in just one part of the world. This is something we already know God didn't want, because he told Noah after the flood, and even Adam and Eve before then, to multiply their offspring and spread across the earth. And obviously, the tower being one huge structure made it physically impossible to spread across the earth, so it had to go. But this is only one possible reason for the destruction of the tower. You see, when reading, you can infer another way more sinister reason for everything. When God actually plans to destroy the tower and states his reason why, he never actually mentions anything about the goal of having humans spread across the earth. Like I said earlier, people only consider that as his motivation for destroying the tower because it's a previously stated goal of his. What God actually speaks about though is how this newfound unity, through only speaking one similar language, made it possible for humans to work with each other. But rather than praise this cooperation, God basically implies that it's a problem because it made sure that they could do anything they wanted. And so he goes ahead to confuse them by changing their language. The tone of that whole monologue suggests the more evil and dark side of God that we usually don't see in the Bible. But that's today's video. These two situations show that God can really fuck some shit up when he wants to, so try your best not to piss the top G off. Like I said before, this is the second video of my Bible Timeline playlist, so check out the playlist and check my channel for more epic Bible content.